Picture this scenario. It's 1964. You are an intelligence analyst for the CIA. You receive a report stating there is a serious possibility that the Soviet Union will invade a neighboring country. To you, serious possibility means about a 20% chance, something to watch, but not an immediate crisis. You pass this up the chain of command. But to the general reading your report, serious possibility means 80%. He mobilizes troops. He raises the alert level. Suddenly, the world is on the brink of war, all because two people had a different definition of a vague English phrase. This isn't a hypothetical. This is the exact problem that led Sherman Kent, the father of modern intelligence analysis, to demand a standardized language of probability.
That is a terrifying yet perfect example of why precision matters. It is not just about grammar, it's about preventing disasters. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fluency Lab. I'm Emma.
And I am Leo. We are your guides today as we dissect the fascinating, high-stakes world of certainty. We are going to look at how we express probability in English, not just the vocabulary, but the history, the psychology, and the cultural weight behind the words.
It is lovely to be here, Leo. You know, we often think of English fluency as just knowing the difference between the past tense and the present tense. But real fluency, the kind that gets you respect in a boardroom or clarity in a scientific paper, lives in the gray areas. It lives in how you navigate the space between yes and no.
Precisely, the maybe zone. As I mentioned in the intro, this isn't just academic. Sherman Kent's work at the CIA proved that vague words like might or could are dangerous. He actually created a scale, didn't he? A way to put percentages to these words?
He did. It is known as the words of estimative probability chart. He realized that without a numerical range, communication breaks down. So today we are going to move down that scale. We will start at the top with near certainty and work our way down to the impossible, analyzing the best phrases to use at each level.
Let us start in the safe zone, the 90%ers. If I'm looking at a situation where the outcome is almost guaranteed, but I cannot legally say 100%, what is my strongest option? In casual conversation, I would just say probably.
Probably is functional, but it lacks weight. If you want to sound authoritative, the phrase you need is in all likelihood. It sits at the very top of the Sherman-Kent scale, effectively communicating a 90% probability or higher. It suggests that you've examined the evidence, and while a freak accident could occur, the expected outcome is clear.
It has a very executive feel to it. In all likelihood, the merger will proceed. It sounds like I've done the math. Is there a distinction between this and saying something is highly probable?
Nuance is key here. Highly probable is scientific. You'll hear that in meteorology or epidemiology. It implies data. In all likelihood is slightly more idiomatic. It fits better in a narrative or a business strategy meeting. It's less cold but equally certain.
Moving down the ladder, we're leaving the 90% zone and entering the 70% zone. This is where I feel confident, but I would not bet my house on it. The phrase, "the odds are," comes to mind. But that feels like gambling.
That is because it is gambling. The word odds comes directly from the history of wagering. When you say, the odds are that he will be late, you're invoking a mathematical comparison of favorable outcomes versus unfavorable ones. It implies you've noticed a pattern. It's distinct from chance.
How so? I use them interchangeably.
Chance is about possibility. It's binary. There is a chance or there isn't. Odds is about ratio. It's analytical. If you say the odds are good, you're saying the ratio of success to failure is in your favor. It's a stronger, more predictive phrase than simply saying it's likely.
So if I'm looking at the stock market, I might say the odds are the tech sector will recover. I'm implying I've seen the trends. What if we slide further down, the murky middle, the 50-50? I love the phrase, "it's a toss-up." But I realized I have no idea where that actually comes from. I assume coin tossing?
It is coin tossing, but the history is deeper than you might expect. The specific phrase toss-up appears around the early 1800s, related to the gaming practice of pitch and toss. But the concept of resolving a 50-50 deadlock with a coin goes back to ancient Rome. They did not call it heads or tails, though.
What did they call it?
Navia at caput, Ship or head. Roman coins traditionally had the two-faced god Janus or the emperor on one side, and the prow of a galley ship on the other. So when you say it's a toss-up, you are invoking a 2,000-year-old tradition of letting fate decide between two equal options.
That adds a lot of gravity to deciding where to eat for lunch. It's a toss-up between pizza and sushi. I'm essentially performing a Roman ritual. So is toss-up acceptable in a formal context, or is it too casual?
It leans casual. In a high-level diplomatic meeting, you would use "it could go either way" or "the outcome is uncertain." Toss-up implies a certain passivity, as if the result is entirely out of human hands. If you were a project manager, you do not want to tell your boss the deadline is a toss-up. That suggests you have lost control.
Right. It could go either way suggests the variables are balanced, but we are still watching them. Now let us enter the pessimistic zone, the 20% probability, the "I don't think so" zone.
Here, we have a divergence between unlikely and doubtful. This is a mistake many learners make. They use them as synonyms, but the subject is different. Unlikely describes the event. Doubtful describes the speaker's state of mind.
Wait, break that down. Give me an example.
If I say it is unlikely to rain, I'm talking about the weather. I'm making an objective statement. If I say I'm doubtful it will rain, I'm expressing my personal skepticism. Doubtful carries a tone of disbelief or suspicion. It is very useful when you want to politely disagree with a colleague's optimistic projection.
I see. So if someone proposes a ridiculous timeline for a project, I would not just say that is unlikely. I could say I am doubtful we can meet that deadline. It makes it personal to my professional judgment.
Correct. It signals that you are the one hesitating. There's another phrase for this zone that is often misused: implausible. This is even stronger. It means the very logic of the idea doesn't hold up. It's not just unlikely to happen, it doesn't make sense that it would happen.
Now we hit the bottom, 0%, or as close to zero as we can get. The English language loves colorful idioms here. My favorite has always been "when pigs fly." It is such a vivid image. Surely there's a story behind that.
There is. It is a classic example of an indineton, a figure of speech so hyperbolic it describes an impossibility. The specific reference to flying pigs dates back to a Latin-English dictionary from 1616 by John Withels. He listed the proverb, "Pigs fly in the air with their tails forward."
With their tails forward? That is even more absurd.
Exactly. The absurdity is the point. It was used to mock someone who was making ridiculous promises. Over time, it's shortened to "when pigs fly." It's a staple of English sarcasm. If you ask for a raise after losing a major client, your boss might think, "Yeah, when pigs fly."
Another one I hear is "a snowball's chance in hell." That is fairly self-explanatory, thermodynamically speaking.
Very graphic, yes. But be careful with register. You would never use "when pigs fly" or "snowball's chance" in a formal report. In those cases, you must use "inconceivable" or "virtually impossible."
We have covered the scale from 90% to 0, but we have to address the elephant in the room: culture. I've noticed that when I speak to my friends from Japan or even the UK, their version of "probably" feels different from an American's version.
This is a massive topic. Linguists and sociologists like Gerrit Hofstede talk about a dimension called uncertainty avoidance. It measures how much a culture feels threatened by ambiguous situations. Countries with high uncertainty avoidance, like Japan or Greece, often have very specific rituals or language to mitigate risk. But interestingly, this can make their "maybe" very complex.
In what way? Do they avoid saying no?
Yes, in many high-context cultures, saying a direct "no" is considered rude or disharmonious. So they might say, "that is difficult," or "we will consider it." To an American ear, that sounds like a maybe, a 50% chance. But in that cultural context, it is a 0% chance. It's a polite refusal.
That goes back to Sherman Kent's problem. If I hear "we will consider it," and I think there's a 60% chance, but my partner means 0, we are heading for a disaster.
Precisely. Conversely, Americans and Australians generally have lower uncertainty avoidance. We're more comfortable with directness. If an American says it's a toss-up, they genuinely mean they don't know, and they're fine with not knowing yet. In a culture that values high certainty, admitting you don't know can be seen as a failure of leadership.
So true fluency isn't just knowing the definition of likely, it is knowing who you are speaking to. If I'm speaking to a British client, I need to remember their famous understatement. If they say, it's a bit of a worry, that probably means this is a catastrophe.
Oh, absolutely. British not bad means very good. And British, I have a few minor comments means please rewrite the entire document. The probability scale shifts based on geography.
This has been an incredible tour of the spectrum. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that maybe is a lazy word. We have this entire toolkit, in all likelihood, the odds are, doubtful, that gives us so much more precision.
It empowers you. When you use precise probability language, you are telling the listener that you have analyzed the situation. You're not just guessing, you are estimating. That builds trust.
So, listeners, here is your mission for the week. We want you to banish the word maybe from your vocabulary for just 48 hours. If you're predicting the weather, your commute, or a sports game, force yourself to use one of the phrases we discussed.
Ask yourself, is it highly probable? Is it a toss-up? Or is it doubtful? Pay attention to how people react when you sound more specific. I suspect, or should I say, in all likelihood, you will find people take your opinions more seriously.
And if you want to leave a comment, tell us what is something you think is highly probable to happen in the world of technology next year, and what is something that will happen when pigs fly. We want to see those predictions.
I am personally betting that flying cars are still in the pigs fly category, at least for now.
I am doubtful as well. But hey, the odds are technology will surprise us eventually. Emma, this has been a fantastic session.
It always is, Leo. Thank you all for tuning in to the Fluency Lab. Keep experimenting with your English.
Stay curious, stay fluent, and we will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.